So let me tell you about the time the doctor told me I was infertile. I was sitting there in the doctor's office, sitting on that little bed thing where they make you, yeah, I was sitting there. And she was like, well, it's official. You're infertile and you're going to need medical intervention to have children. And I just sat there like, what are you talking about, man? That's what was going on in my head. But thankfully, and this is why you should really go to church and listen to the word or read your word. So my pastor had preached that Sunday before my doctor's appointment, which was like later on in that week. He preached about when Jesus was on the boat and the disciples was like, Lord, you want us to die? I'm paraphrasing, because the winds were blowing and all of this, and Jesus was just asleep. He was calm, and Jesus gets up, rebukes the winds and all that good stuff. And my pastor said, Jesus was not worried about drowning on a boat because he knew he came to die on the cross. What am I saying? When she gave me the infertility diagnosis, I knew that that wasn't the end because I never saw my life without children. A lot of you ask me, like in my comments, well, how do you know that God wants you to have children? Did he tell you you weren't? It may seem crazy. That may even seem sarcastic. I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but did God tell you you weren't going to have children? What does his word say? Psalm 113:9 says, he maketh the barren woman to keep house and to be a joyful mother of children. If you don't read any other verse, that verse applies to your life. Unless God has told you specifically that you weren't going to have children, an infertility diagnosis is not the end. It's actually the beginning of a miracle. It's not the end. It's the beginning of a miracle. Will you cry? Probably. Will there be hard days? Absolutely. But do you have to be anxious about it? Do you have to be depressed about it? Do you have to have a woe is me spirit about it? Absolutely not. Because you already know the end from the beginning, or the beginning from the end, however the saying goes. All I knew is like Jesus knew, this is not my end, because I didn't come here to drown in the middle of a sea. I came here to die on a cross for the sins of the world. So as I sat there in the doctor's office, I knew that infertility wasn't the end, but this was the beginning of a miracle. This was the beginning of God getting glory out of a situation, out of a dead situation, out of a medically certified or medically proclaimed situation. I knew that God was going to get the glory. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. If God did not tell you that you weren't going to have children, believe God to have them. I love you. If you need any help, if you need anything, message me in the comments. My inbox is open. Download my 52-day prayer journey to motherhood. It's going to bless your life.